I've been unlike myself this past week, so I've been working here in the LP world off camera, which is something I don't often find the motivation to do because of lack of time. But this week, I have done quite a bit of work that we'll take a look at in just a second. As well as that, I am on to recording my second video of the day, which is something, again, I don't usually have the time for, so I don't usually do. So this day has been very strange. This week has been very strange. But most of all, welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Minecraft LP series. This is episode 41 in the series. And like I say, we've been up to a few things off camera, so why not take a look? First one is a very slight change to the church here. So I extended the roof out to come out front of the building, and I also added in a few stairs to give the building slightly more depth in certain places. Opposite the church, I've built a brand new house for the villagers to reside in. So nothing going on the inside yet, but we will most likely just add beds in here for them to sleep in. It's going to be something simple, just a house, no utility for this building whatsoever. It's quite a simple design. Let's take a look at the roof also, because that is something that's slightly different, I guess. I've gone a little bit overboard maybe with the detail on the roof. We've got these little windows up here, as well as some detailing on the support beams. The only reason why I added these detailing is because I didn't want anything to spawn up here during the night and drop down to attack villagers. So that's pretty much the reason behind that. And before we leave the village, quick shout out to K9. I believe it was their suggestion to add bunk beds rather than singular beds. So that is exactly what I've done in the house here, and it works and looks good. Back at base, I've been up to all sorts. So you might notice that the floor has changed here. I've added the floor design to the first section of the ravine base. So now we've got it both up here and down at the bottom. I've also been working over here at the storage system. I got rid of one of those chests that had a bunch of random items in. And what I've done is I've decided to add this segment into our storage system. So it says dyes and dyed items. So for example, in the light gray chest, we're going to have light gray dye as well as anything that is colored light gray. So I think that'll be a good way to organize those kinds of items. We've also got a bunch of stuff in the shulker boxes that I'll go over just before we get into today's episode proper. All right, and then over onto the deep storage room, which contains two of the final big changes between episodes. So let's open her up. Amazing. In we go. Let's progress past the beacon here and do a 180 turn, because I've been working on trying to get these walls figured out in here. So either side of the door, we've got a pretty basic design containing gravel trapdoors and some more oak logs. But in the center here is something that I'm pretty proud of in terms of a concept. So I've gone with the light gray glass to cover over the redstone so that we can actually see it in action. So what I want you guys to imagine is that we have a button on the inside as well that also activates the door. We can hit the button and watch all of the components move in harmony as the vault either closes or opens and allows us access or exit from this astounding deep storage room, which I'm falling in love with more and more as I spend time in it. It's a really great build. And then the final thing to mention over here in the deep storage room is actually inside of the secret storage area for our enchanted books. So I took some time off camera to continue naming and labeling these barrels, but unfortunately I must have got my calculations wrong. Because where did we make it to? We made it to Smite 5, and I believe that there are another 11 or so enchantments that we need space for, and we didn't make space for them. So I think what we're going to have to do is extend these corridors back by a few blocks and just anticipate that there will be newer enchantments in the future also, and create a bunch of space to add enchantments into, because right now we are still lacking behind in terms of storage space, which I don't know how I got that wrong. I was pretty certain that I made the calculations correctly before I built this, but obviously not. Shulker boxes. What could possibly be inside? Well, it's not super interesting, but on Monday, earlier in the week, I wasn't due into work until 11:30, so I decided to do a quick end raid before I had to make my way on over. And what we ended up with were an extra 2 pairs of elytra, a bunch of miscellaneous armor and weapons. We've got some diamonds, gold, iron, some emeralds. Most importantly though, what I went for were shulker boxes, because I've been realizing that recently we must just be leaving these things all over the world, because it doesn't seem like we have many remaining anymore. So it'll be nice to add another 17 to our collection. I'm hoping we've got enough chests to do so. Awesome, we do. So you can plonk those in the middle. 17 at the bottom, 17 at the top. And that will give us another 17 shulker boxes, which will bring our numbers back up by a drastic amount. That is very, very nice to see indeed. I must apologize off the bat for this, boys best. It has taken me far too long 28 days, in fact, to acknowledge the fact that you are a channel member. So thank you ever so much for that. I really do appreciate the support. I've got your redstone block in the barrel. I've got your name on the tree. And oh wow, you are in the Arboretum of Gratitude forever and ever. Once again, boys best, thank you very much. Okie dokie then, guys. So first thing on the agenda for this episode's main content is to produce a storage system for the oak tree farm here. So I've been using this guy from time to time off camera because oak is something that I'm using a lot of at the moment, especially down in the deep storage room. We do have a bunch of logs here as well if we ever need them, but I'm trying not to take from this supply so that we have some sort of backup. Now, I need to consider where exactly we'll want this storage system to go. Now, I've got two options, I think. First of all, we could have it right in the middle of the build, just to the side, maybe somewhere around here. We might have to create some artificial land over the river to store it in. Otherwise, we could have it behind the build over here. But my only objection to having it behind the build is that if I ever do want to extend this at some point, the extension is obviously going to be blocked by the storage system. But I don't know if that'll be a problem or not, because I think realistically, at the end of the day, extending this wouldn't do too much, because either way, it's going to just add more time to the farm's preparation. So having 3 units in this farm is probably the right way to go. So maybe I will just go ahead and build the storage system behind it at the end here. And I'm putting those shulker boxes right to use because we've got all of our items that we're going to need, I hope. We might need a few more, but I can always go and grab them. We've got all of the items that I hope we're going to need in the shulker box here. So let's get to work and start planning out exactly what we're going to do here. I've extended the pathway here. It's going to lead out to where we're going to have our storage system. And I've decided that it's going to be 5 wide. So we want to indent it 1 back, or do we want to keep it in line with the path? Maybe just in line with the path will work. So we'll have chest here, chest there. Oops, not quite like that. We want them to join up. So we'll have a chest there, and that one will be like that. And then we can have 2 on this side of it, and we will do another 2 on this side. I'm trying to keep them facing the same way. Otherwise, it might drive me crazy. So we'll do this. And we're going to have 10 chests in total for each item. However, there is going to be 2 slots for oak wood, just because that is the most common item. But the other items that we'll be keeping here will be apples, sticks, saplings, and then we'll have 2 for oak logs. You know what, though? Actually, maybe one of those could be for leaves, in case we ever do shear leaves from this area. I doubt it, though, because we will need the saplings to replenish the farm. So yeah, we'll go with apples, sticks, saplings, and then 2 slots for oak logs. I've had to make a slight compromise here, and the compromise is that instead of having 5 double chests, we're going to stick to 4. Otherwise, this build was going to be massive, and I didn't want it to be that big, just big enough. And I think this is a good size. So you can see we've got apples, saplings, sticks, and the oak logs labeled on the front. We're using a filter system on the back. So what is going to happen is items are going to come up the left column here, and they're going to flow across the hoppers, and they will drop back down the right-hand side into an overflow system, which isn't necessary, but I do like to have symmetry in my build. So that's why I kind of built this secondary column on the right-hand side so that it matches the left. And then if we can take a look at the back real quick, where the hoppers and the filters are, you guys have probably seen this design a million times, but we've got our oak logs on the left-hand side, our filter items on the right, and that is the same for each item that this storage system is going to hold. So I'm figuring that the next thing that we need to work on now is to attach this system to the farm here. So the hoppers that extend to this point are going to drop into an automatic item dispenser that is going to flow into water. The water, like I say, is going to flow up the left-hand column, and then that should be able to carry the items over top of the filters. Okay, it's time to give this thing a little bit of a test run. So in order to do that, we are going to remove all items from the chest so that we can be sure that everything's getting filtered correctly. So there's nothing in the system at all. And we are going to run over top of the farm and light the TNT off. So I prepared everything to go because I didn't want to waste any time on camera doing that. That can be a little bit time consuming if you're unlucky with the tree growth. But here we go. 1, number 2, and finally number 3. All right, we should see items coming up here any second now. Here they come. There they go. All right, awesome. Looks good so far. What have we got coming in? We've got some saplings coming in. We've got some oak logs coming in. Nothing else, it seems, just yet. But I also wanted to show you guys something else. Oh, darn. Okay, it looks like we may have made a mistake on this one here, because I can see a trapdoor. That is never a good sign. But the other thing that I wanted to show you guys was this new tool that I put together between episodes. So as for the name, if you know, you know. Efficiency 5, Unbreaking 3, Mending. We should probably get Fortune on it eventually as well. But what this thing can do is tear through leaves very, very quickly. So it's going to be useful in this farm to get rid of all of the leaves if we're trying to use it in quick succession. So you can see I got rid of the wood, and then we can just let this thing rip. All right, so good news is the farm is working. Bad news is I did destroy part of it here. Oh, only one trapdoor though by the looks of things, which is good. That is an easy fix. We can just do something like this. So I gave this setup a little bit more of a test off camera, and it's working perfectly. I love it. I'm very happy with the outcome of the storage system over there, and it's going to do fine things for us. So now moving on for today's episode. I remember, I don't know if you remember, but I remember, I believe it was last episode, I was commenting on how neglected this area is here, the Hive, and how we possibly may never bring it to be what I always wanted it to be. But I think today we're going to show it some love, guys, because it looks very ugly around here. And regardless of whether or not this is going to be transformed into what I originally had planned for it, I think we should make it look good, because going back now would be very, very difficult, as in refilling everything and tearing it all out. So we're not going to do that. We are going to leave it as it stands. But I think we should try to beautify the area ever so slightly. And that will include just adding in pathways around the area, maybe filling in the remainder of these honeycomb-shaped areas with glass and some carpet so they all look similar in style. And then I might even try to get some bees inside of them at a minimum, just so we've got some small terrariums that contain some wildlife. I think that might look good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure we've got enough materials to continue the paths here, because I don't really know what we're using. It was a long time since I implemented this design. I think it's concrete powder, white concrete, and diorite. So let's make sure we've got those in good enough quantities. And many, many blocks placed later, are you guys ready to take a look at the completed pathway around the outside of the Hive? Now, I have to say, I'm really, really happy with this. Really happy. Really happy. It just looks so awesome. Let's take a fly up to the sky. Turn the display off, and this is what we're looking like. So it's good, right? It's really, really good, and it works so well. That combination of the 3 blocks that we've used, the white concrete powder, and the diorite, which is a block that I know a lot of people hate, but it does definitely work here and provides the texture required to make the pathway look good. So now I'm thinking about what is to come next. This guy right here is a cart that delivers shears to the system. And I believe that somewhere down below, we've also got a cart that will run underneath this Hive section here and collect all of the drops. So that might be something we want to consider soon. But for now, what I'm going to work on is polishing up these Hive sections. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get inside. We're going to do a little bit of bone mealing to give some natural beauty to the area on the inside. We're going to apply some carpet around the edges, and then we're going to glass over the top like we've done with this one. So we'll have 3 hives looking similar, except they won't have these farms on the inside like this one does. Bone meal. We're going to pause for a second to play a little game, and I'm going to ask you guys to guess the amount of glass it takes to cover one of these Hive sections. Whoa, wait, what? Interesting. We've got a creeper in there at the moment, but I'm going to give you a few seconds to think here. I will step back and you can take a proper look. How much glass to cover over this area? Okay, so the answer is 7, or sorry, I should say 6.5 stacks. 6.5 stacks. I brewed up 10 stacks, thinking that might be enough to get me by. Excuse me, But no, 6.5 stacks each. So I have got a lot more glass to cook up. Very surprising, right? Just about to finish up here, and that is the final hive area completed. So like I say, all we've done is added glass. We've bone milled on the inside to give it a little bit of natural beauty. I've carpeted around the edges, just like I did on the original one that actually does have the farm in it. And that is pretty much it. So it is looking a lot better around here. Let's get an aerial view before the sun goes down too far and creates darkness. Oh yeah, looking good, looking good. The only thing that I would say now that might need adding is some sort of centerpiece here. This area looks kind of quiet at the moment, and I don't particularly like it. We have got this little guy that obviously gives us rockets, but doesn't take up too much space now, does it? But something else I need to consider is, like I say, we're going to have a system that will actually collect honeycomb from this. Although it's not the most efficient farm, I probably still will use it from time to time. And we also need to have somewhere for this cart to remain, which, like I say, will provide shears to the system. So things to consider, I guess, things to consider. But for now, there's something else I quickly want to add to the path just to make things a little bit more safe around here. And in terms of the change to the pathway, you can see I've dug out a bunch of one wide holes, and you can probably guess what we're about to do based on what I've got in my hotbar here. So we're going to use some glowstone and some carpet to light the path up so that at night things are a little bit safe around here. We can be free to traverse around the hive without fearing for our lives. So this is a very easy way to do things, especially if you're using a color like white, because you can get white carpet that looks very similar, and you just cover over those glowstone blocks with the carpet. And it's almost, well, I guess it's noticeable, but it blends in very well with the theme that we got going on. So let's wait for night to fall and see what this place looks like now in the dark. Awesome, looking much better around here now at night, and a lot safer as well. Like I say, we can be around here in the darkness and not have to fear too much for our safety. The good thing as well about how we've built this hive is that the glass is not a spawnable block, so nothing can spawn in the center there regardless of light levels. And also carpet is another unspawnable block, so regardless of light levels here on the glass, and in fact on the slabs, nothing will be able to spawn there. So as long as the pathways are lit up, which they are, and we'll take another aerial view here as well whilst we're talking, we should be safe. Hell yeah, that looks awesome. I love this build, actually. You know what? I'm glad we spent some time on it today, because it was looking a bit worse for wear, and there's definitely potential here. So I'm glad, like I say, we did a little bit of work, and now it's back to looking decent again and progressing forward. Well guys, unfortunately I have ran out of time for today's episode, which is a shame because this one has been a bunch of fun and it probably will be shorter than usual, but ideally I need to finish now and get this exported so I can have it uploaded for you guys. Otherwise we could just spend forever working around here. It's very, very time consuming, all of this work that we've been doing, but I feel as though we got a great deal done. We added a storage system to the oak tree farm, which is awesome. Very, very good indeed. We have improved the hive tenfold. It's back to looking glorious again and amazing, and looking like it might have some potential for a decent build in the world once we get around to polishing it up. And yeah, that's, you know, pretty much it. We also did a bunch of work in between episodes as well that I showcased, and I've been having a bunch of fun playing in the world, actually, guys, at the moment. It's I don't know what it is, but something must have just kickstarted my motivation to get playing again, because I've been spending a lot of time grinding, working, and you know, just generally trying to improve things around here so that we've got something to showcase in the episodes rather than not making much progress off camera. But guys, let's not ramble on too much, because we do have an episode to close out here. So thank you very much for watching today. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to drop a like down below. That would be much appreciated. Any questions, suggestions, comments, or feedback, leave those down in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to read every single one of them and respond to those I feel require a response. And finally, if you are new to the Hocus channel, then first of all, welcome, welcome. My name is Hocus. I hope you enjoyed your stay today. Hope you had fun, and I hope that you might subscribe and stick around and stay tuned to this series. There's also an SMP that I'm part of, Ramblecraft. You should also go check that out if you enjoyed this one. That is a bunch of fun. But guys, that is going to be about it for today, so please have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves, enjoy it next week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.